Hi there, this is Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits, and today I'm going to be showing you a little video on how to increase for a sock using make one rights and make one lefts on a toe up sock. I really love a toe up sock, as you may have noticed if you've knit any of my sock patterns. And so what I've done is just done my little cast on here, and let's get into some increasing. I will also say that I prefer a pretty long cord for doing magic loop. I find that when I have a longer cord, I don't fight with it as much. It doesn't pull on my stitches. This one, for instance, is 37 inches. Let's see if they have centimeters on here. 93 centimeters. And that's just the cord, that's not including my needle tips. But I find anything from like a 32 to a 40 inch tends to be pretty nice for me when I'm doing magic loop. These are Chow Goos, which I love. This is not sponsored. They are just my go-to knitting needles. They have really smooth joins and a nice flexible cord that doesn't kink up. All right, so let's start with a make one right. I am going to start showing English style knitting, holding the working yarn in my right hand, and then I will also show this continental style, holding the working yarn in my left hand after that. So generally speaking, we are going to increase one stitch in from the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and just knit one, and now we are ready for a make one right. So for a make one right, some people find it helpful to remember that when they want a right leaning increase, they need to go in from the rear. So I am taking my left hand needle tip and I am just inserting it under this bar that runs between this last stitch I knit and the stitch I'm about to knit. And you just lift that up onto your needle. So going from the rear to the front and just lift it right up onto your left hand needle. And do you see how it's already leaning to the right? So let me use my other needle here to kind of show you. So it's already going boop to the right. So if this feels tight and you're having trouble getting your knitting needle into it to knit, what I like to do is just insert my needle in here purlwise just to loosen it up, and then I pinch with my finger, and now it's much easier to insert my needle tip so that I can knit. So I'm going to go ahead and knit that new stitch, and again you can see this is leaning to the right. Now I need to knit all the way to the last stitch on my needle. And we are going to do a make one left. So for a make one left, I always think about the F in left to help remind me to go through the front. So to make one leaning left, you go from front to rear, and then you knit it through the back or the rear. So sometimes those little things help people remember. But so you can also already see that this is leaning to the left. So when we had done our make one right, where we had picked up our stitch from the back to the front, it was leaning to the right. But when we go from front to back, it leans to the left. So I am going to go ahead and knit my make one left through the back leg, and then knit one, and that is my top needle, which is half of my round. So now I'm ready to work my bottom needle, or the bottom of my foot. And I just pulled this bottom needle out, and we are ready to go. I am going to do this one continental, so holding my working yarn in my left hand, and I'm going to go ahead and knit that first stitch. And we are going to be doing make one right. Sorry, let me get that in the middle there. And again, we're going to be picking up this bar that runs between the stitch I just knit and the next one that's ready to be knit. So for a make one right, we go into the rear of that bar and lift it up. So rear to front, knit through the front. And now we're going to go ahead and knit to the last stitch on this needle. Da, 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 da. Here we go, and now we'll do a make one left. So make one left, we go from front to rear and then knit through the rear. And again, you can see it's leaning to the left already. And you can even see after we knit it how that little base that we picked up leans to the left, and that's how you know it's done correctly, is you can just look visually and say, is it leaning to the left or leaning to the right? And then I knit that last stitch. Now, some people get a little concerned with knitting their toe ups, that they're gonna have some laddering or some issues here on the sides. And so I did also just wanna mention in this video, something to help laddering is when you are knitting past your gap here, I always like to make sure I give a nice tug on the second stitch in. And that will help laddering, but also as you have more fabric for your toe, it is gonna help snap this all in to place and into shape. So don't judge it when it's just a little tiny baby. Sometimes you just need it to grow up a little bit more. So anyways, I am gonna keep working on this little sock, but I hope you found that helpful for your make one rights and lefts, and happy knitting.